Ben questions Max what exactly they'd be doing that day, and Max tells him that they were actually almost back to Bellwood, surprising him given all the stuff they did over this summer. It had felt like it just flew by. Gwen mentions that it'd be nice to be back in their hometown because they'd been through a lot over this summer, and she'd been looking forward to seeing her mom and dad again. As Ben nodded, missing his parents too, though he goes on to say, "What I don't miss is Mom's cooking," making them laugh. Charmcaster says while they are doing that, she'll be preparing for herself as well, confusing the two of them, as Max then goes on to explain that the terms of Charmcaster's parole was that she would serve a few weeks in juvie and then be transferred to him until her 17th birthday, and if she stayed out of trouble during that time, she would legally become emancipated, which basically means that Charmcaster would be able to live on her own and take care of herself like an adult would without the need to have any guardians over her. Gwen, after hearing this, says, "Wait, you're turning 17? Seriously?" Looking surprised about that, since she hadn't been mentioning it to anyone or anything. It was like it wasn't a big deal for Charmcaster, it seemed, to which the silver-haired teen then says, "In a few days from now, yes. But first I'm gonna check and see just how much you've learned over the summer." Nodding, Gwen was ready to check that out, as Max had told Ben he'd drop him off first when they got back to Bellwood, with Ben nodding and going to pack up his stuff, taping up the box of souvenirs that he'd collected over the summer along with his clothes and stuff as well. Finally, we get Ben going home, being greeted by his mom and dad, and Ben getting his stuff out of the rust bucket. And his dad asked how the trip was, which Ben says that it was a lot of fun and he'd learn a lot from Grandpa while getting his stuff ready to go inside and up to his room. Ben's mom takes notice of the rust bucket and questions if that was the same one they'd left in, to which Ben, thinking quickly, says that the old one finally broke down on them and Grandpa Max got it towed to a dealership and traded it in to get a new one, no big. She then questions about the silver-haired girl, and Ben says her name is Charmcaster, and she's someone Gwen met that had a bad home life, so Grandpa Max offered to help. His dad nods and helps get things into the home as Ben waves bye to them, with Gwen hugging him before they then headed off, which his parents took notice of and asked if he'd learned that she wasn't so bad, to which he says that she's incredible. They couldn't help but notice that it had seemed as though he almost sounded like he was in love, but didn't say anything. After getting everything unpacked, Ben's mother Sandra asks what souvenirs he'd gathered, and he then showed her different things, but knew better than to show her the hero box, as he'd already put that away, though it seems he'd accidentally missed something, as his mother picked up a Petrosapien crystal and asked what this was. Having to think quickly, Ben says that it's a crystal that was given to him by a friend he'd made while on a road trip, which wasn't exactly a lie, as it was a crystal from that time he'd fought against Tetrax before finding out they were on the same side. Of course, his mother didn't need to know all that. Nodding while listening, she takes notice of Ben's watch and asks where he'd gotten it, to which he says, "Oh, this? It fell out of the sky," in a joking tone to make his mother think it was just a story. When she asks for the truth, Ben says that a woman Grandpa Max knew threw it out of her vehicle and said I could keep it because it suited me, as his mother nodded listening to that. Ben asks his mother what they were having for supper, joking that it seems like I've been eating nothing but alien goo and strange insects all summer, with Sandra laughing, telling Ben that his grandfather's cooking isn't that strange, but that to celebrate him being home, they were going to order pizza tonight, exciting him because he hadn't had real food in forever. Ben eventually gets finished unpacking and was changed into different clothes than he'd been wearing all summer. They were rank, and it was nice to have a different change of clothes for once. Ben goes downstairs when his father Carl had called out that the pizza was there, and so he'd gone to the kitchen table and they began talking about what Ben had done all summer. Though he left out the heroics, he did tell them that he'd had a lot of fun and told them about when they'd gone to different fairs, along with going to some cities with legends around them, like Salem for example. Nodding, Carl then asks about the watch and why Ben was still wearing it, though Ben says jokingly that he's kind of grown attached to it, while chuckling to himself. His parents seemed a little confused, but just went with it.